Facebook. I'm up and running on IG. I'm up and running on my platforms, guys. Let's go. That's what's up. It says I am now live. I appreciate you guys uh, jumping on here with Coach Smith, man. Um, y'all wonder why Coach Smith got his towel. But hey, be sure that hit that hover your phone camera over that QR code so you can be directed to my camp website for March 29th for you young athletes and parents out there. Let me just fix. For you young athletes and parents out there, be sure you like I said, that QR code is right there in the corner. That subscribe, hit that subscribe button and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Coach just got finished getting his workout on. But I want to thank you for joining me. It's always a pleasure getting on here and talking about what's going on in the world of sports. And I appreciate and thank God for the opportunity to help some young athlete continue their dream of wanting to play their sport at the college level. And I'm going to do everything I can to help. And this is what this channel brings. When I go live on IG on Coach Smith 27 or Love the Game 24/7 on IG as well. But on TikTok Live, Love the Game 24/7 and YouTube right here. And so you can get to all my social media platforms, folks, at lovethegame247.com. Let me put that in the chat for you. And you're a young athlete who plays football, they need to register now because space is limited at www.lovethegame247.com. All right, for the March 29th football skills development camp. Right, it's a preparation before they go to these summer camps. That's what this March 29th camp is. They help these young athletes prepare before they go, and we'll get into more of that. Because I was had the pleasure of listening to Carl Reed Jr., who's that does a lot with. He had a live podcast. Listening to him last night, and I believe he's with 247 Sports, and they do a lot with recruiting, and they talked about that last night about the combine and how. You young athletes should have been watching that to see how they measure, right? And you parents, coaches, you can pick up on some things, but how they measure these young athletes and what drills they take them through. And even, discussions on why some guys may not have performed. Some of the top prospects didn't take the time to perform, and that's their choice. But like those guys were discussing last night, on his podcast, is that some of these guys are getting paid money now that we didn't get paid in the past. So we took a little more pride in it back in my day to go showcase ourselves because we didn't have NIL. Okay, and some of these guys know there's much more money on the line than when we play ball coming up. Right, there's a lot more money on the line, and they don't want to risk, being hurt or getting hurt. Because you got to understand that, these guys have been going at it, training since their season ended. And some of these guys didn't go. Somebody like Shadur Sanders, who they played a bowl game, or some of these teams like Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, their season extended. Those 12 teams that went to the playoffs, their season extended, as well as some of those teams that made bowl games compared to some of the teams that didn't. Even when it comes to the Division II playoffs, right? Their seasons, football season was extended. So for some of those juniors and seniors at Division II level that's getting an opportunity to be seen by some pro teams, they've been going at it, man, for a while. So they got to be sure their body is ready for a long NFL season. And so, but these NFL scouts have done a lot of work with these guys. Been in college, because in football you got to play at least 3 years. You can't come out. You can't come out until your junior year, right? Now you may have a redshirt sophomore. That means that kid was there for 3 years, right? They're a junior by academics, but they may be a sophomore in football because they got redshirted, whether it be due to they redshirted when the athlete came in, or because of injury. Okay, there's a lot of different reasons or whatever that a young athlete may have gotten redshirted, but they are a junior officially as far as their grade level status, and so you can come out your junior year, okay. But most kids have played at least 3 years, right? They come into the draft, and most played 4, but there are a few that have played 3 years at least. And so with that, some of these athletes have to do a better job of, and I know I did the same thing with my son, trying to guide him as well, because some of these guys know that, hey, we've been working and training, and you scouts with these teams have gotten a lot of film. And so some of these guys realize they don't have to work out. I know the NFL wants them to, because of course, why? It brings in money, right? The hype, you get fans excited, okay, and they want to see some of the star players performing, and we had quite a few kids that did perform and did themselves well, okay. And they try to say all this stuff about, oh, somebody's stock might go down. Well, their stock should only be based on what they've seen on film, not what they see at the combine. So don't be fooled thinking that somebody's stock is going down or up because of what they did at the combine. When I say that, I'm talking about the top players, okay, that didn't perform. Now, somebody like me coming out of a Division II school, or even coming out of Division I school, and I'm trying to show that I can play ball at that next level, yeah, it might help my stock, or it might solidify that I am a legitimate pro prospect, okay? So yeah, it will help in those respects. But when you're talking about some of these guys who are, the big name guys, they, like Shador and some of them that didn't do it, that didn't perform, hey, that's their choice, that's their right, and they have to be careful about monitoring, their body as well. So it's no big deal. It's just an opportunity for the NFL, one of these kids to showcase, because it gives them an opportunity to make some money and make these fans happy. But like I said, their pro day is coming up. They're going to have their interviews, but these scouts have watched these kids for years. So if they haven't seen what they need to see by now, and you got to understand too, there was a lot of teams that didn't even come to the combine. They sent their scout personnel to the combine, but like some of the coaches or GMs, there were several teams, I think at least about 6 or 8 teams, that did not have the GM or the head coach. I know the Rams coach, he didn't attend. I just saw him interview Pat McAfee the other day, and he was one that didn't go. And I know Detroit, I think, didn't send the head coach or the GM, because they sent their scouting personnel who that's their job, to scout these athletes. So of course they're going to be there. But they realize they've done a lot. They got a lot of intel. They'll interview these kids that they're serious about drafting, after the combine is ended. Some of these guys are going to be flown out. My son had the blessing of having that opportunity when he was coming out. He didn't get invited to the combine, but because of what he did on his pro day, they should, oh man, he would have done well at the combine if he'd attended the combine. But he ran, low 4.3s. And so it made his stock went up after his pro day. And he had the opportunity to visit with 4 or 5 teams when he was coming out of college, personal interviews. Okay, so that's what's about to happen after these pro days through this month, finish up as we get closer to the draft in April. So some of you young athletes should have taken part in that, right, and watching that and watching the times. Now, as you as a young athlete, you're not going to be running 4.3s and all that at your age. We know what you're running now, because you guys are going to be running slower times because you're not an adult yet, right? You're not I'm a grown man yet. Now, every now and then you might see a kid because maybe they run track and they're going to run maybe in the 4.5s, right? 4.6s, and some of you guys should be in that range in high school, 4.7, and we know that's where you should be, and you should be there. Now, if you're not there, if you're running like 4.9s and 5 flats, then that's some concern. But if you're in that 4.7, 4.6 range for some of you guys who are really fast, now as you grow and develop and you get into these college programs, you're going to get bigger and stronger and faster. And then by the time you get to where they are, you should be running like what these young men are running. But I know one thing came up though during that podcast that I was watching with Carl Reed Jr. Like I said, he's with 247 Sports. Either he is or one of his buddies were that was on there. But all these guys played college and pro ball and went to the combine and had this experience that they shared and gave a lot of information about what the young recruits, just like things I've been talking about on my podcast. Some of the same things I've said, they pretty much co-signed, because I had the blessing of being at every level and helping. But they co-signed on some of the things that I've been telling you, that you got to get to these college camps, right? But you got to prepare well enough in advance, like these guys have done since their college season has ended. In football season, their football college career has ended, right? And they had to do some specific training to get ready for these drills that they were going to be taken through. And you got to get prepared, young athlete. And so that's why I'm doing my camp on March 29th as a preparation before the summer, before you hit that road, that college camp tour that you need to hit. And another thing they co-sign is that as a young athlete, you need to start doing this stuff for parents at an early age, right? So your kid can develop, right, in this game, okay? And so it's very important that you get coached up and taught up, right? You step your game up so you can step up your development so that you can perform well this summer. So when my camp ends on March 29th, you will have until June 1st when these college camps get underway for the summer. And so you'll have that time to come to my camp, go through everything, learn what you're going to need to be working on. So when you leave my camp, you'll have that time to be training, right? If you need a personal trainer, we can help you find somebody in your area. I'll be doing some personal training in my area here in North Carolina. So if you want to sign up with Coach Smith, you'll have that opportunity. Okay. So that's what it's all about as well, trying to help you get connected. Okay. And so that's what these guys were sharing last night as I watch and listen to their podcast and sharing some great insight on the recruiting process and how that combine and all that stuff connect for you young athletes, that you should have been sitting down watching some of that, right? Or videotaping it and come back watching it later. But you need to be aware of what it is these young men are running and how they look doing these drills. We're going to be doing some of those same things to get you guys acquainted, to get you familiar, so you can understand what it is that you need to train on, right? And so that you get the technique down, right? That you get your start technique down, you get your agility, right, down, and what in the position that you're playing. So you need to be aware and understand what it is that you need to do, young athlete and parents, what kind of training that you're going to have to invest in your young athlete to be sure that, hey, that this, happens for your young athlete. And that's what I'm all about doing. And one thing that we, sometimes that happens, we have people that get in, wait until the midnight hour to ask somebody like myself, late into the game, when you should have been signing up with me, months ago or years ago, right? And so, I'm working right now hard, helping some young athletes and helping a young man right now, that possibly he has an offer because I reached out to some coaches, college coaches that I'm connected with, and shared his highlight and said, hey, look, here's a young man, that I believe that can play it at your level. Tell me your thoughts, right? And I'll share more about that, because like I said, I'm going to interview these guys that I've helped. I'm going to do a live interview with them to come on and talk about the recruiting process, and you don't want to miss that when I do that. And that's why I said you need to subscribe, right? Subscribe, hover your camera over that QR code so you can go to the website for the camp on March 29th, and then you can click on that and subscribe to my channel. You need to share this. And like I said, too many people coming late. There are some schools still looking for some 2025 kids, right? And I hustle and work hard on Twitter and reach out to a lot of college coaches All right. And they have reached out to me asking, hey, do you have some 2025 kids at these positions? Okay. And that's how I was able to help this young man get this potential offer. But they got to check and make sure he has the grades and he's registered with the NCAA, before, he can probably sign. They got to check all these things out. Right. But the offer's on the table for him. But too many times, we come to the table late to the game, and we can't, we got to get out in front and get out ahead and stop waiting late, right? Because there's a lot of kids, that are dreams still waiting for their dream to see if they're going to be able to play at the next level, right? And that's what I'm working hard to do, is try to help some of these young athletes. But as I've always said when I come on my show, recruiting is recruiting, right? Regardless if you're a male or female, and regardless of what sport you play, it all, works the same. There's things that you have to do, and you have to get out in front, right? There's letters you have to write. There's emails you have to send out. There's people you need to follow. There's camps you need to go to, right? And you need somebody to help guide you through this. There's some conversations you need to have, right? And another thing that these guys co-signed on, that I've shared many times on my podcast, that they talked about last night on their podcast, and these guys are well connected as well. And one thing that they co-signed on last night as well is you got to get out to as many camps as possible, out in front of as many coaches as possible, college coaches that make these decisions about who's going to get what scholarships. And I shared recently on my TikTok live prior to coming on live here, is when my son was going through his recruiting process. We did the camp tour, right? And I remember my head coach called me because he had, his first major offer, Power 5 offer from Boston College, from BC. And I remember my head coach calling me because we were at Purdue, we were at Iowa State, because these schools were showing love as well. And I remember the head coach calling me saying, hey, Jeff, BC is calling, man, because they see Jeff is out here on this college tour. He, is he coming? Is he, they want to know, is he for sure coming out to BC? And you have to know how to navigate through this recruiting process when things like this happen, because even though they show that love to my son, they can always take that offer off the table. And so you don't want to miss going to other camps and showcasing yourself to other people. But one thing that I, made them feel confident about and assured of was he only did one-day camps with those other schools because they hadn't offered him yet, but they were showing some love. But when he was going to the BC camp, he was going for a 3-4 day camp. So he spent more time with them because they gave more love. They gave the offer first, right? And when I explained that to the head coach, that, hey, we're just out here doing one-day camp because I got to make sure he gets in front of these other teams, right? In case something changes, they got to see, they got to see him, because these coaches, they'll give you an offer. Okay. These coaches, appreciate you guys joining me on my IG. All right. I'm just discussing about how, these coaches will give you offers, and some of those offers may not be solid until you show up at camp, right? Because the head coach got to put eyes on you. And Ryan Day was the one that was recruiting my son at BC. And so, he has to be sure that he shows that why he gave this offer to my son. And so, when I got that phone call from my head coach that at the high school where I was coaching, said, hey, this is what, they want to know what's going on. And I said, hey, coach, just let them know he's going to be at their camp for 3-4 days. He's not going to be 3-4 days. Now, when they got word from my head coach that that's what was happening, they were like, oh, okay, cool. We understand. Right. And so you need somebody like myself, like Love the Game 24/7, or somebody like Coach Derek Tatum that's down there in Georgia that does a great job as well, that I follow and I listen to him as well. That he's doing, some people out here that can help you. You just need to vet and find the right folks that you can work with. But you got to have a team of people that know what they're doing. And so when you have these hard conversations, you haven't had anybody help walk you through, like myself, to teach you about how to, interject these things and how to have conversation with these recruiters, that they have to understand that you can pull that offer anytime off the table. So I got to be sure my kid gets out in front of some other kids, but be rest assured, because you showed that love first, he's going to spend more time with you guys than he is with these other coaches until they give offers. Right. And so, like I said, when that word got to them, that he was going to be with them longer in just one-day camp with these other schools, they were like, oh, okay, we understand. Hey, we'll see little Jeff when he gets here. And when he got there, he showed up, and that offer was solid. That offer became even stronger. because he was ready and he was prepared. That when he got there and he was excited to be there because he knew that, hey, they were the ones that showed love. Coach Ryan Day came with that offer strong, and he showed up at camp and did what he needed to do for Coach Ryan Day to show why he gave that offer, why it was good for them to give that offer to him, to my son. And I knew he would. And that's what I'm trying to help teach you guys on March 29th when you come to this camp, and get you started early at a young age, because these college coaches are looking for you guys at the elementary and middle school to see where your development is, because they know they keep seeing you coming back and they start seeing you on film, right? And your development is improving. Then they know that they're going to be serious about getting you an offer, but you got to get out in front. And that's what Carl Reed Jr. with 247 Sports and some of his buddies who had played at every level co-signed that same thing last night as I listened to their podcast, saying that you need to get out to as many camps as that you can afford, mom and dad, right? To get your kid exposure, to be seen, and they got to get some training. So you find, get somebody that's going to train them up, right, and show them what they need to do. So March 29th, between March 29th and June 1st, I'm going to show you what you need to work on, what it is how you need to develop. So when you go to these camps, that investment that you spent, your young athlete to go to that camp is going to get a return on your investment, right? And so that they can have their dream come true of playing at the next level. They play little league, middle school, high school, and opportunity to go to college. That's what we're all about here at Love the Game 24/7 with Coach Smith. And so I want you to tap in, guys, right? The chat, I'll put the website in the chat. We got people registering as we speak. You need to get your name in there because space is limited, and get yourself signed up, get yourself coached up, and so we can show you and teach you what it is that you need to do and how you need to perform, right? And have your opportunity to possibly one day, if you're good enough, if you put that work in, you may get an opportunity to go to the next level. But hey, right now we just want to help you get to college and help pay for your education. That's the main thing that we're trying to accomplish. And so don't tap in late, tap in early. Okay. Now look, Coach Smith gonna work as hard, even if you tap in late, but don't you don't want to have to work that hard. If you get in this thing early, if you get ahead of the curve, right? But like I said, there are some coaches. They are still looking for some 20, 25 kids, and I'm gonna find them and hit my social media. And I'm connecting with coaches. They're connecting with me. Like I said, I have coaches hitting me up every day, tapping in and following me, following back. And I'm letting them know, hey, I'm looking at some kids. And when I come across some kids that I think that can play at the level that these coaches that I'm connecting with, I'm going to put your name in the hat and ask them, hey, you let me know. That's what I did today with a young man. And the coach said, hey, I would offer this kid, and he wants to know if this young man is interested, because he's still looking for, and he's a running back. And I told him, hey, sent the huddle to him. I asked him to view the huddle and tell me what his thoughts were. And he said, hey, I would offer him. I want to offer him. So he just got to get past the GPA requirement and those things. Let me put my website here on the IG. I forgot to put it here. Let me get it on here now, my website. So folks on IG know how to get registered for the camp on March 29th, because space is limited. And as I'm looking on here, people are getting, I get an update on email and I get plugged in. Let me just get this on here, guys. But yeah, so this is what it's all about. And you need to tap in with Coach Smith, right? And get your young athlete dream to come true. That's what we want to help you accomplish. Let me just get this out here. Let's go. It's on here, y'all. All right, it's out there. So like I've said on many occasions, I'm gonna keep coming on. I'm gonna share, but I'm letting you know. Hey, I have people out here that I listen to that's saying the same thing I'm telling you. And like I said, the reason why some folks miss the opportunity because they come into the midnight hour and want you to do wonders. And I'm gonna do my best to do them, but I prefer you to get in the game early. So you don't have to be worried about whether your young athlete will get the opportunity that they deserve because they've worked hard, right? And because they worked hard, we want you want them to be rewarded. But you got to get developed. You got to get coached up. You got to get in the weight room, right? You got to give somebody like Coach Smith and Love the Game 24/7 who can give you a plan on how to lift properly, how to get bigger and stronger and faster, right? In the weight room and get on the track and in the field and the football field, and how you can develop and get yourself showcased. But you got to get out in front of these folks. But before you get in front of them, you better have had preparation time, that time, that TEE, time, energy, and effort. So that's why, if you'd have taken some time and listened to that combine and listen to the folks talking about the combine and how hard these guys and how long they've been working, right? Because like I said, their seasons, some of these guys' seasons went long, right, into the new year, right, January. We're just in March, so some of them guys' season just ended, second week of January, and they've been grinding, and so they got some some of those guys. The reason why they didn't want to perform because they know, hey, I don't want to have you wonder why sometimes when these rookies who do make it to the next level sometimes don't perform well. It has a lot to do with what's going on right now. That if they didn't monitor themselves well, if they did too much, right, your body can only take so much. And so if you don't monitor yourself and get rest, right, you still got to train, right? But if you don't monitor what you're eating and those different things, it's going to have a lot to do with your performance, right? You can't have a lot of sugar, right? I remember when I was coaching and I had to, pregame meals, the Chili's would bring in like the cupcakes and all that other stuff. And we had to say, save that for after the game. That is not something good that we want before the game, right? Because having that stuff before the game, you get a sugar high and you'll get a burst of energy, right? But by halftime, you're crashing because you didn't get the right stuff in your system, right? And so I would, have to tell the cheerleaders like, hey, we appreciate that, but save those goodies, right? Because you can cheat a little bit on the weekend, right? But you better cut it out, by a certain time on Sunday, because Monday, right? Because what we did when I was coaching, you had to show up Saturday morning because we had to watch film. But you also, after we watch film, you had to get out there and do a little bit of working out to work out why. You're sore because you just played the game on Friday Night Lights, right? And so that body needs to work out that soreness. So we didn't want guys just sitting up, the next day, right? So we like, oh no, in the morning, you need to, every now and then we might, because we had a big win, we might, but too many times we realize, no, you ain't gonna let them off the hook, like that all the time, because we got state championship, that we were going for. So on Saturdays, you had to get up in the morning, come watch film, right? And then get out there on that football field and do a few little drills to work out that soreness. And then you had, the rest of the day on Saturday, go to the beach. I tell some guys, hey, go swim. Some of y'all got pools or friends got pools, or go to the beach, man. It's one of the best things to do. Is go swim and relax. And then, Sunday, because Monday, we got to hit it, right? That's what it is. Monday, man, it's, we back at it. That's how it goes. And so you wonder why sometimes these athletes may not perform that well in their rookie year, is because of all this stuff that they sometimes, and some of it is not even football. They're doing events. They're getting interviewed. They got a lot of stuff going on because now, it's even more busy when you're getting ready to go to the pro level. I know it's busy for some of these guys at major colleges, but when they get ready to step into that pro arena, it gets, you got interviews, you got all these different things going on, and you got to sometimes tell people, hey, look, I need a little break from all that, because it's going to be busy when the NFL season starts, right? Even more. So you got to monitor that, and you got to have a good team of people that's not going to be, you don't need yes people around. You need some people around you that's going to tell you the truth